This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Episode 176 of the Detroit Sports Podcast, now available for download. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz?
Santa Claus is mere days away. I won my buddy's fantasy football league, so that's some big money rolling in there. I'm still waiting on Christmas gifts. I hate the shipping and postage services. They're absolutely brutal. FedEx, you can go suck a big one. U.S. Postal Service, even though my mom and my stepdad both work for you, you can go suck a big one. Companies that I order from, exactly, it is. It's horrible. I have one company that hasn't even fulfilled my order, and I ordered this stuff like 2 weeks ago. Who does that? You know what my stepdad's going to get for Christmas now? He's going to get a picture wrapped up in a shirt box, and it's going to say, "Hey, it's coming. I don't know when. Sorry about that." How awful is that? You want that for Christmas? No, nobody wants that.
Does that mean maybe next year you might start preparing in November to get stuff?
Dude, I might have to. Honestly, I figured 2 weeks. That's good enough time. Honestly, what I ordered him, it's nothing remarkable. It's nothing incredible. It doesn't seem like it's that hard to get. The company said that what I ordered was in stock. And I don't want to say too much because I'm not sure if he's going to listen to this episode or not. So what I ordered him says it's in stock. It's not like it's one of those things where if they run out of stock, it's hard to sit there and get it, because honestly, you and I could make it here in the studio if we had the proper equipment. It doesn't take all but 2 days if you run out, to sit there and remake what I needed. And they haven't even put it in a box yet with tape around it and shipped it out yet. It's still sitting in a warehouse somewhere. And I called and I left a message a couple of times saying, "Hey, I'm looking, where's my order? What's going on? I ordered this days ago. Call me back." Nobody's returned my call.
See, I think this ties into a little bit what we're going to talk about with the Pistons and Stan Van Gundy and how he's viewing the players and doing their jobs and things like that. But are you noticing with the people you work with or anything like that at this time of year, last couple weeks of 2016, people just got vacation eyes? I'm starting to feel it a little bit.
All over the place, man. All over.
Newspapers are printing wrong headlines. You got people just messing up their jobs all over, not caring. And you got, obviously, I understand the demand to get all these presents out, but I just kind of feel like at this time of year, you got to kind of expect that if you're going to start working with people and you expect them to start caring and doing stuff, a lot of people have vacation eyes and they don't really care what's going on at their jobs.
Let me let you in on a little bit of what goes on in the month of December for me, all right? So technically, I'm a part-time employee for iHeartMedia and Total Traffic Network, right? So, I fly around in a helicopter every morning. So if you're watching Channel 2, watching Channel 4, and there's a really bad shot of the roads, it's me. And sometimes I might not even be shooting the road. I might just shoot the skid of the helicopter because I don't even know if we're on yet, because I've made a couple of mistakes while I've been up there. But hey, it's live TV. Just roll with it. Anyways, I do that every single morning. That's now my go-to shift. That's something that's been made my go-to shift now rather recently. There are so many people taking vacation days at my office that I'm the flex guy. I refer to myself as the Band-Aid. You need something covered, I'm your guy. I just cover it up. Whatever it is, I do it. So I can do basically 85% of the people that I work with, I can do their job. I know what they do. I've got different notes on different things, and I know how the formats go, this, that, the other thing. So I'll get up, I'll go fly around in a helicopter, and then basically almost every single day in the month of December, I'm doing somebody else's job because they're all on vacation. Next week, we're going to have to shut down the helicopter, so you won't see me flying around basically between Boxing Day and New Year's Day. I won't be up in the air at all. I'll be doing another guy's job because he's like, "You know what? I'm checking out for the week. I'm just out of here." I really wish I had some vacation time. I don't get to earn it. It's just one of those things where I work anywhere from 20-some hours a week all the way up to 50-some hours a week. And if I'm working 50-some hours a week, my boss will come and talk to me like, "Hey, is there any way we can maybe stretch that out over the next couple weeks?" "No, bro, you're paying me all that overtime. Deal with it."
It's super tough. Yeah, exactly, too. You got people taking time off. You got people maybe doing a couple of different roles and things like that. But yeah, this time of year, it is a little bit tough because people are taking vacation. They want to kind of focus on the parties.
I want vacation eyes, bro. Just like beaches and Mai Tais and just hanging out, being warm.
When's the last time-
I'm tired of this cold, bro.
Was the last time you went to the Dominican? Was that your last vacation?
Yeah. That was
About a year and a half ago?
something like that, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
we need a vacation.
You know what? I'm going to my buddy, one of my best friends is getting married in May. He's having a destination wedding, so we're going to Jamaica.
Yes, sir.
So it'll be a nice 7-8 day vacay, and
You deserve it.
that'll
Good.
be cool. So it'll be like I said in May sometime. The cool thing is he's getting married right around the same time that me and the wife got married. So it's kind of like an anniversary gift to her and myself while we get to go celebrate his wedding with him and his wife. So it'll be cool.
So lay it straight with me. When you hear, okay, your boy's getting married, you're happy, you're excited. Then he goes, hey, we're going to do it in Jamaica. Do you go, fuck, I got to pay the extra money to get there. It's a little bit extra. It's not like it's really easy to kind of just, pick up, take a week off and then go to Jamaica for a wedding. It's not your,
It's expensive.
Is it? Yeah.
It's expensive.
You're like, dang it, bro, come on, man.
It was one of those things where he started kicking the idea around. He did a good job with. He floated little things out to everybody, like, oh, well, I'm thinking about doing this. And at that point, you're like, all right,
Think about something else, bro.
right. It's like I need to kind of start saving, and I need to see what we can do here as far as money wise to make this purchase. And then he did a real good job selling me on the whole idea. Like, look, it's like a year and a half away, so all you got to do is make that down payment, and then you can just make monthly payments on it. And next thing you know, it'll all be, all taken care of. And I'm like, I guess. So one day, like I'm one of those people who, like, when I got to make big purchases like that, I don't like doing it. I got a total commitment issue. Like, I don't like committing to anything. Like, it took me forever to sit there and marry my wife because I'm a commitment phobe. I just have a ton of issues with it. If me and you were going to go out during the week sometime and you're going to be like, hey, let's meet up and let's go out, I'd be like, you know what? I'll let you know about it. Just because I don't ever want to be tied down or locked in.
I'm glad you told me that, because then I'd be like, dang, does he really not want to hang out with me?
No.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
all me. It's all me. Like, I have issues. So, and I know this, and I know this about myself. I figured it out. We sat down and we're kind of going through things, and I'm getting all frustrated because I get irritated when I know I'm about to spend a buttload of money and I'm going to be locked into something. Like, there's no way I can get out of this, right? I mean, I can, but if I do, Sandals basically has a ton of change of mine, and good luck getting that back. They're like, oh, well, you can put it towards this destination then. I don't want to go to that destination. I want my money back. It's not going to happen. So me and the wife are kind of going through things, and the wife's like, well, look, we're going to do this because I want to go there, for one, and two, he's your best friend, and three, you're the best man. So get it figured out. And I'm like, damn it, you're right. Anyway, she makes the reservations, gets all this going, and at this point, I'm kind of geared up for it. It was hard to get me sold on the idea, but he was right. You make the down payment, and then after that, every time we had like a nice chunk of money come in, instead of putting it in the savings account to put it towards the house, we put it towards the vacation, which is dumb, and I know it's dumb, but the way I prioritize things, what has to get done first? And this vacation, it's not going away anytime soon, right? It's going to be there. The house, we can kind of push back a little bit, and we can get the house when we get the house. So look, vacation is what it is. So every time we got a nice chunk of money that came in, put it right towards the vacation, right towards the vacation, right towards the vacation. And at this point, it's pretty much all paid off. So just gotta get that plane ticket taken care of real quick.
Then for you, because I know how you live your life, in May...
Like a drunken sailor?
No, I'm going to say that you need to be careful around the time of that month before the destination wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Don't play hockey.
Yeah.
Don't do anything. Don't shoot around. Don't exercise, because you're going to be like, dang it, I ripped my shoulder out. Dang it, I tore my meniscus. And then you're going to be all hobbling at the vacation that you waited
It's
a year and
funny
a half
that
to
you
take.
say that because I'm dealing with a slight MCL tear right now.
Oh, no, what happened?
I have no idea. I really don't know. I've been dealing with some knee pain now for a couple weeks, and I was telling the wife about it. She's like, how long has it been bothering you? And I was like, I don't know, just a couple weeks now. I was like, the knee buckled on me the other day, and it hasn't felt right. So she's sitting there, and she's a nurse, and she's going to be a nurse practitioner, so she knows all this stuff. She breaks out one of her books, and she's doing all these different assessments on me, and she can pinpoint right where it hurts. And she's like, if I can pinpoint it, she's like, more than likely it's not a sprain, that's a tear. And I was like, so what do I got to do? And she's like, nothing. You can't do anything. Like, you can't, like, I haven't been to the gym at all this week. I'm miserable right now. I'm one of those people who have to go to the gym every single day. Otherwise, I hate my life. I haven't been to the gym at all. Just laid up at the house. When earlier today, when you texted me, I had got home from work this morning and I went and I took a nap. Who takes a nap at 10 o'clock in the morning? This guy, because I have nothing going on. I'm depressed. It's brutal.
Man,
I'm like Vinny Stubbs right now.
Man, so you think you got an MCL and you got to stay off of it? You're going to get formally looked at, or?
Not yet. My wife actually just switched from one job to another job. So we're kind of in between the insurances right now, so bad time for it. So I'll just lay up off it and do some compression and the whole ice and rest and all that stuff. RICE. I think it's called RICE. Rest, ice, compression, elevation.
Very good. Okay, see? I know you very well. You got to just make sure around the time of the holiday you don't do nothing to ruin it because you want to have a good old time.
Yeah.
You want to make drinks with the locals and have a good old time with the wedding. And good. Congrats to your boy, and it'll be a fun time. No doubt about it.
Should be a good time.
You know what's not a fun time? Being a Lions fan.
Nope. Brutal.
Yeah, I was talking to some of the media at Oakland on Monday, and we kind of just started talking about, hey, do you think that there's going to be a lot of panic with the fans? Like, oh, hell yeah. They've all seen it before.
They're all waiting for it. Everybody's waiting for it.
Everybody's waiting for it.
Wait till after Monday. That's when the panic sets in. Actually, you know what? Sometime around the second quarter of the Dallas game, that's when the panic starts to set in because everybody realizes that it comes down to the Green Bay game. It's that final game of the season. You have no outs. You've seen this time and time again. You know what happens when you play Green Bay, especially when you play Green Bay at the end of the season. We've seen it last year. That Green Bay game, you needed to have that Green Bay game. And you know what you got? You got some of that pass back and forth kind of thing. You got a Hail Mary. You got an impromptu Richard Rodgers completion for a touchdown. I don't know. Haloti Ngata was out there guarding the 40-yard line along with Ziggy Ansah. I have no idea what was going on. That's what you get. That's what you get. So prepare for it.
What percentage chance do you get? And now I got to tie it to this because I'm trying to get tickets for the January 1st game for the father-in-law. We went to last year's game. We kind of want to make it a tradition where we just go to one game a year, probably the last Lions home game of the year. The demand is triple the freaking face value price right now. Everywhere. StubHub, SeatGeek, the prices are a little bit up there. So
let me do this for you. All right, let me tell you this. This is what you do. Because last year, I bought the wife tickets to the Red Wings New Year's Eve game. I had a buddy who ended up going with us, and he waited for the day of the event and got the tickets for much cheaper than what I paid. I paid quite a bit. We had some solid seats, but he got better seats, and he paid much less money than I did. He paid less than face value. Wait till the day of the game and then buy it. Wake up in that morning and buy them.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm trying to weigh the options of like, wait, I could probably, if the Lions can win on Monday night and Saturday, if Green Bay loses to Minnesota, that kind of makes the game less marketable. Maybe it won't be on Sunday night. But right now, at this point of this recording, there's a chance the game could be flexed to Sunday Night Football. There's a chance the Lions could win the division at home. So what are the chances you think the Lions actually buck the trend and have it fall perfect? Green Bay loses, Lions win on Monday night.
0%.
0%.
Here's the thing. Green Bay is playing too well right now. Green Bay is... It's like they caught fire at the exact wrong time that the Lions needed them to catch fire. And they're going into Minnesota. Minnesota just got blown out at home by the Colts. The Colts aren't a very good team, and they just manhandled Minnesota. All right, so now you're going to bring in a Green Bay team that has basically the Detroit game circled with an exclamation point because they said, hey, look, we can run the table. Like back when I think they had like 4 or 5 games left, they're like, we can run the table on this, and we can do this. Don't give up hope yet. And they've had that game circled now for months, and they're ready to do it. And look, Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. They don't have a running game, but they found something with Ty Montgomery. Seems like that Jordy Nelson, Aaron Rodgers connection has come back to life. They're looking like they can get it done anytime against anybody. It doesn't matter. Their offensive line has all of a sudden gotten healthy. And that's something that you haven't been able to say about Green Bay in probably the last 3 years. Their offensive line has usually been atrocious. And now defensively, they're giving up less and less points every single game. And their secondary is manhandling guys. So I don't see them. I don't see them losing to Minnesota. At the same time, the Lions have a really tough task. You just lost to the Giants. You now have to sit there, pick yourself back up, and you got to head into Dallas and take on Zeke the Freak, who's just been an absolute stud running the ball. You got to take on Dak Prescott, who is getting tons of praise. He's made a Pro Bowl as a rookie. What does that say about him, and what does that say about that team that he's playing with? It's one of the best offensive lines in football, and we've seen it with our defensive line. Our defensive line has trouble getting to the quarterback. You just went up against an atrocious offensive line against the New York Giants, and you struggled to sit there and lay hits on Eli Manning, a quarterback who doesn't necessarily mind holding the ball and doesn't necessarily mind getting blown up from behind, and yet you still struggled to hit him.
And you had Dallas coming off of a couple games where they weren't playing as well. They played very well versus Tampa Bay, and it was on, I believe, Sunday Night Football, and they helped my fantasy team out.
Dak Prescott looked super effective and super efficient.
Exactly. So you're getting a Dallas team that's going to play probably a better game than we initially thought, and you got a situation with the Lions where they got to look at a couple key injuries that we're going to talk about that is going to affect the team. And so when I look at it, back to panicking, because you had an opportunity versus the Giants, and the Giants didn't play that well on offense. Defensively, they did a lot of things, but that was predicated on the fact that they knew what you were going to do, and the offense was, again, try to run the football. It didn't work. You became predictable, and there were more situations where some mistakes that the Lions made cost the team, and they didn't get the opportunity to change the momentum. Two key plays that we've talked about is obviously Zach Zenner fumbling and the defense not catching that fumble. You needed those two plays to go in your favor.
Let's add another one. Let's add the missed challenge by Jim Caldwell, and I'm going to make an argument right here, right now. If you sit there and he throws the challenge flag on that missed catch, okay? That now puts them, I believe it's at 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 6. The next play is a run for 4 yards, all right? So now you're at 3rd and 6 instead of, what was it? I think it was 3rd and 2. The next play is a pass to the tight end for 4 yards. You'd end up short. You'd have to punt the ball. You would never have got your first touchdown. You take that score off the board, the game's totally different. Zach Zenner then goes in and fumbles the ball, and then there's a fumble that's not recovered in the Lions' half of the field there. So it was just the entire game was missed opportunities. And look, I know if you sit there, you change that one play, the way that they call the next couple plays probably would change. But what I'm making a point of is if Jim Caldwell does his job and the guys who are upstairs in his ear do their job, you might have saved yourself 7 points. You might have helped your team get a win. Because at this point, Matt Stafford's finger doesn't seem like it's a big issue. He seemed like he was doing an okay job throwing the ball down the field. Didn't look like he shied away from getting hit at all. He looked like he was okay. The red zone offense, still a major issue that's killing this team. Once you get into the red zone, they can't seem to score. I don't know what it is, why it is. Last year, super effective. One of the best in the league. This year, not very good. Then you have a coach who sits there and blows plays and puts your team behind the 8 ball. If you're a good coach, if you're Bill Belichick, I'll always hold Bill Belichick as the gold standard in coaching. Bill Belichick's throwing that flag, even if he questions it. It's a first half timeout. Not saying that any timeout is any less important than any other timeout, but you can spend one in the first half and it's not going to bite you in the butt. When you're in the second half, yeah, that might be a little bit of an issue. All right, and big deal. You'll lose a challenge. You know what? You got a second one for the second half. It'll be okay. I don't see what the big deal is here. He should have challenged that call, could have helped save his team some points, and in the end, could have helped his team get a win. Instead, he puts him behind the 8 ball. They were never able to fully come back after that. They sat there, they threatened, and you have to lean on the foot of Matt Prater to kick field goals to sit there and get you on the board. You can't do that.
How much credit do you give the Giants defense? I mean, it seemed like every inch was being fought out there for. It seemed like the Lions really tried to establish the run. They couldn't do it. And when Zach Zenner fumbled the football on that drive, it kind of took the momentum away from the offense and just never really seemed to get in gear. A game in which you needed to the defense stepped up, did the job, but you only score 6 and no touchdowns offensively. That's a big problem. It's continuing. It's a pattern that you see with the Lions in that the defense is playing well, but the offense is kind of stagnated throughout the course of the last 3 to 4 games in terms of their scoring. They're relying heavily on field goals, like you said, and they're not getting the ball into the end zone. And do you think that's because Theo Riddick hasn't been there? Do you blame a little bit the injury to Matthew Stafford? What's the deal with this offense?
I don't think it has anything to do with Matthew Stafford and his finger. I think a little bit has to do with not having Theo Riddick. I mean, he's a little bit of a game changer when he's coming out of the backfield. He's like Ty Montgomery for Green Bay. He's like a wide receiver that can run the ball. It's really weird because he does a lot of different things for this offense, and I think this offense is kind of tailored to his skill set. Zach Zenner's an okay backup, but he's not the same guy. I don't think Zach Zenner necessarily has that explosive speed. Zach Zenner likes to run to contact, which is great if you're going to bowl guys over and you need somebody to run between the tackles. Theo Riddick's kind of a guy to get the edge and kind of go down the field with it. I don't think Dwayne Washington is necessarily ready for this role yet to be the featured back. And I think that's kind of where you're getting hampered here. You don't have a every down running back that you can sit there and slot in. I mean, you got to realize that basically your entire running back core has been depleted. You've got Zach Zenner. He was another flyer that you took out of a small school. And these are the two guys that now have to carry the load running the ball for you because you've got nobody left as a running back. So that mixed with the injuries that you have on your offensive line, I mean, when you've got to put Laken Tomlinson in, do you remember him? Yeah. Do you remember me burning him and murdering his entire college football career because I didn't want him to be drafted?
Right.
Do you remember how awful he played the first couple games of this season? And do you remember him getting relegated to the bench? Oh, wait, he's starting now. He's starting because Travis Swanson's hurt. That's your center. Who's the most important guy on your offensive line? Your center is. You now got to put Graham Glasgow in as the center spot, and he was doing a real good job as a tackle and really filling out well there. You now have to put him as your center, and there's a little bit of a letdown there. I mean, again, he's a rookie, so he doesn't have all the necessary experience, doesn't maybe have all the skill set that Travis Swanson might have, because Travis Swanson has done a real nice job filling out in that center role. You now weaken your right side when you got to put Laken Tomlinson in there because he's like a giant turnstile. So now your offensive line is weak. You can't necessarily run the ball as well as you'd like. You don't have any running backs. Now that's going to help fall onto your quarterback, which then falls onto your receivers because you can't let plays develop down the field. And look, if Golden Tate could have a worse season dropping footballs, and Marvin Jones could have enough footballs drop off his fingers or maybe run a wrong route again. And same thing with Eric Ebron. You know, it just, the receiving core is not helping out. We talked about this receiving core possibly being a little bit better without Calvin Johnson. And for a time there, it looked like it was getting the job done. But down the stretch of the season, too many drops, too many wrong routes, too much miscommunication, too many guys hurt and injured. I mean, you go back 2 weeks ago, you had a football basically bounce off of Golden Tate's face to the other team. What? Catch the ball, man. It hits you. It comes anywhere within an arm's length radius of you. You're catching that football. That's your job. And that was the one thing when the Lions went out and they grabbed Golden Tate. The one thing we talked about, the one positive that we noted was that this guy doesn't drop the football ever. If it's thrown within a vicinity of him, he's catching the ball. And this year, he has not caught the ball at that same rate. Too many drops, too many times, and it's causing issues.
And when I see, there's this kind of divide between the fans, and you got this overly optimistic fan base right now that's just saying, you know what, it's just one game. Let's look ahead to Dallas. We're still going to have an opportunity. And they're like, why are people panicking? This is a sign of, a bandwagon fan base. And I go, you know what? We've seen this before.
Yeah, it's not that. We've been here before.
We've been here before, and you got to look at what's going on. Green Bay's surging. You have a situation where your schedule's tough. And when you look at the schedule, the Lions have beaten teams that aren't that good. When they face competition that's pretty much decent, they haven't come through. So that's where this is coming from. And so the people that say, hey, if I had told you at the start of the year they'd be 9-5 with 2 games left, what else do you want? What I want to do is, in a game versus the Giants, when you have a tough 3-game stretch, go out there and put the dagger in, make it so that it's damn near impossible for Green Bay. What the Lions do is they perpetually leave the door open. They don't just slam the door shut on situations that are advantageous for them. You have a chance to win the division. You have a chance to earn a high seed. You have a chance to advance in the postseason. And so I would have expected a performance that was much better versus the Giants. And I just got a kind of a lackadaisical kind of performance where you go out there, you score 6 points, you make some mistakes. I wanted a crisp performance versus the Giants. And so I felt like once, Theo Riddick was gone, and then during the game, once Darius Slay went out, I kind of thought that it took the momentum out of the game. But you had an advantage in that the Giants lost a player. They lost Jenkins to an injury. So did you take advantage of that? No. And so people are kind of, and we'll talk about it a little bit, going that the offense was okay. They just didn't make, or people are saying that the offense, just didn't make enough plays and Cooter called a good game. Again, I disagree. I felt like you tried to run the ball too much on first down. I felt like your play calls were a little bit predictable, and the Giants didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot to shut you down. So when you score 6 points, you haven't done enough. And so people are panicking because we don't believe that the Lions can just flick on a switch and all of a sudden they're going to go to Dallas and drop 45. They can, because it's going to be indoors. There is a potential. I'm not going to rule it out like you did as a 0% chance that they perform that well, but it's going to be tough because we see some things in place that aren't helping the team. A lack of offensive production. We see Stafford maybe not at 100%. Even if he's at 90, that's still maybe a throw or two that he could make. And then you go, oh boy, here we go. You don't have a running game, and you have guys hurt. So that's a recipe for a lack of confidence. That's why it's there. Now, it's up to the Lions to prove us all wrong, and we have hope that they can do it. But for you to have confidence really would tell me that you're refusing at all costs to look at the past and to not allow what's happened in the past for the Lions to affect your thinking. And I think that's wrong. I think that you have to kind of buffer your expectations a little bit, set yourself up, and be prepared that the Lions might be in a situation where they don't even make the postseason.
And it's okay.
Get ready.
It's okay as fans to sit there and alter your expectations.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. I mean, if you were to sit there and tell me that, hey, the Lions are going to be 9-5 in first place, 2 games left, Green Bay's nipping at their heels, but they've got a little bit of a lead on Green Bay, I would say they should win their division and they should make the playoffs. Expectations are allowed to change. Going into the year, I thought they would struggle to win 7 games. They've exceeded my expectations. That being said, my expectations have changed. I now expect them to make it to the playoffs. I expect them to sit there and challenge for the 2nd seed in the NFC because the NFC is absolute garbage. Do you realize that this Lions team has only beaten one team that has an above 500 record, and that's Washington, who's 7-6-1.
And that game, they didn't have Jordan Reed, the beast.
Exactly. So expectations are allowed to change. This team has taken full advantage of a very soft schedule. And we talked about it after week 4. How much are those 2 games, the games to Tennessee and the games to the Bears, are going to come back and bite this team in the butt? Those are 2 games that they should have won. And Tennessee's a team that is fighting for a division championship, fighting for a wild card. They are a team that is above 500. That's a team that you should have beaten, but you lost. And if you would have won that game, couple that with the Bears win, you wouldn't even be worried about this. We'd be talking about how you've already clinched the playoff spot, and you'd be sitting there fighting for the 2nd seed in the NFC in a first week bye in the playoffs. But you blew it. You absolutely blew it. And expectations are allowed to change. They should change. If you're a Lions fan, yeah, be upset that they're in this spot right now. All right? Be happy that they're in this spot right now. Your expectations going into the season were probably something similar to mine and something similar to the Doc's, where we expected them to somewhere be right around 500, plus or minus a game or 2. You know, you could, at the worst, maybe see them going 6-10. At the very best, maybe going 10-6. It's okay. It's all right. Those expectations are allowed to change. I mean, at this point in the season, I didn't think they'd be here. And now that they're here, I expect them to win. And if they don't win, it's an epic collapse. It really is. Because 3 weeks out, after you beat the Saints and you beat the Bears and you took a commanding lead of the NFC North, to sit there and let it slip through your fingertips, that's on you. That's on this coaching staff. And yeah, you know what? Jim Caldwell's having a hell of a year. All right, got him to this point. And I think the Lions have been a little bit disrespected by the entire NFL by not having anybody in the Pro Bowl. When the Pro Bowl announcement came out, I sat there, I looked at my phone, I was like, all right, well, which Lions made it? Scrolling through. I get all the way through the AFC, go to the NFC, scrolling through. Nobody from the Lions. Not one. Not Matt Stafford, the guy who basically carried you through 8 of your 9 wins. The guy who has played out of his mind, probably played his best football of his career, doesn't even get a nod. But a guy like Dak Prescott, who's got probably the best offensive line and the best running game in all of the league, and a premier wide receiver in Dez Bryant, gets the nod. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It's a little bit of disrespect to the Lions. I'm going to tell you, it's straight up. It's disrespect to the Lions. If anybody should go, it should be Matt Stafford. It absolutely should be Matt Stafford.
Or Sam Martin.
Okay, we're going to talk about punters and kickers, huh? Because you can make the case that Matt Prater could go too. Absolute disrespect. You have one guy who's basically carried this team through the finish line every single game, and it's Matt Stafford, and he doesn't get the nod. He's got very comparable numbers to a guy like Matt Ryan. Through most of the season, he's done better than Aaron Rodgers, and he doesn't get his ball cap tipped to him. There's a bit of an issue there.
So now, Monday night, after Christmas, you got your presents wrapped, you watch the Quick Lane Bowl, and then you settle in for Monday Night Football on Monday the 26th, and guess what I read now? Dallas has something to play for. They're sitting at 12-2, and they're 1 win away or a New York Giants loss or tie away from a number 1 seed or a second division title. So they got something to play for, and they can earn a bye as well. So they could be the number 1 seed in the NFC. So they got something to play for at home in Jerry's World. And I'm kind of seeing a situation that I think has happened before in the Dallas game where I think they're going to get out to about a 14-0 lead. And then the Lions will settle in, and they'll try to pressure Dak Prescott and try to limit that offense. Then it's going to be predicated upon the Lions to come back. I do believe they're going to be inching and clawing the entire game. They may even tie it in the 3rd and 4th quarter, but I do believe that Dallas is going to edge out the Lions. It's going to be a good game. I don't see them getting blown out. in any stretch or imagination because the Lions are going to put up an effort. I just don't think across the board when you look at the matchups, offensive line versus defensive line, quarterbacks, running backs, defense, I don't see where the Lions potentially have an edge outside of the starting quarterback, maybe slightly. And Dak Prescott is getting unbelievable amount of time to run the offense because of a great offensive line. And I think that they can just probably run the ball damn near 20, 25 times and keep the ball away from the Detroit Lions. Their strategy might be similar to what the Lions have employed in games past and just keep the ball by extending plays on third down by running and keeping it third and short and using Ezekiel Elliott to dominate. He could have a great performance. So if you stop him, if the Lions somehow can force some turnovers from Dak Prescott, they have a chance to maybe take a stab and do some things and win the game. But looking at it right now, I'm going with, the Dallas Cowboys in the neighborhood of like 28-17.
Let me put it to you like this.
I don't see it. I don't see the hope.
There are some statistical anomalies to sit there and back up your point, okay? Every time Detroit and Dallas play, it's always close. Always a close game. Dallas leads the overall series 14-12. I just looked this stuff up, all right? The last time they played, it was the playoff game. Dallas ends up winning 24-20. Before that, you go back to 2013. Detroit wins 31-30. You then go back another 2 years. In 2011, Detroit ends up winning 34-30. You go back another year, Dallas ends up winning. This is the blowout game. This is the one game that kind of got away from the Lions there, and it was 35-19. Go back another year, Dallas wins 28-27. All these games are nail biters. They're all close. All right. And I'm going to stop giving you a whole bunch of scores here because it doesn't mean anything for this game now that we're heading into it. All right. But every time these two teams play, always a close game. And I think you're right. You make a good point that, look, Dallas is probably going to edge out Detroit. It'll probably be a game where it is less than a score. It'll probably be, maybe a 2-point victory for Dallas. Maybe it comes down to a last-second field goal for the Cowboys to sit there and win this game. Going into this game, what I expect from the Lions, I expect DeAndre Levy to play at least 85% of the snaps on defense. DeAndre Levy, in his last 2 games, he's picked up more and more snaps, and he's getting a little bit healthy every time he takes the field. And I expect that to continue. I expect by the time, if the Lions do make the playoffs, I expect him to be out there what he normally was out there, playing his full requisite of snaps. They're going to try to contain Zeke Elliott. That's the goal. That's what you have to do. What you have to do is you got to let Dak Prescott beat you. If you're going to lose, put it in Dak's hands. Again, rookie quarterback. Force him to make mistakes. Get pressure. Bring it. I already highlighted how they're probably one of the best offensive lines in all of football. You're going to have to find a way to sit there and penetrate that and put pressure on Dak, hit Dak, force him to sit there and throw an interception or fumble the ball. When you get into the red zone, you got to score more touchdowns and field goals. That's the only way you're going to beat this team. That is the only way that the Lions can beat this team is when they get into the red zone, you can't settle for those field goals. I'm tired of seeing Matt Prater sit there and run out when they're in the red zone and kicking a 25 to 35-yard field goal. I'm tired of it. And they've got to control the time possession. And that's going to be hard because, again, you got Zeke the Freak, and the guy can just run the ball for days. So, again, contain him and sit there and force some turnovers. But in the end, I think what's going to happen is this defensive line for the Lions, not very good. Ziggy Ansah's been carrying an injury all year long. It's hampered him through pretty much, now we're into week 16? It's basically hampered him all the way through the season. He's not as explosive as he once was. This was a guy who was right up there with J.J. Watt last year for sack totals, and he's nowhere even close right now. All right, so I don't think they get to Dak Prescott. I don't think they do a good enough job containing Zeke Elliott. In the end, I think what it comes down to is a Bailey field goal, and Dallas ends up winning. Dallas sits there, locks up the first overall seed, and it all comes down to that Detroit-Green Bay game in Week 17.
Bring on the pain. Well, listen, we can present our objective view of what could happen, and the Lions could go out there and just dominate and really go out there and fight because, hey, they got a lot on the line themselves. So that's what we're hoping for. We just haven't seen it where they go out there and just dominate a team in a situation where a lot is on the line. It's on the road in Jerry's world. They're going to be, they have to handle a lot of adversity, and they got guys that are hurt. And, I don't know about a defense without Darius Slay, an offense without Theo Riddick. I'm not exactly sure, but it'll be up to the Lions. And, Bob Quinn has done a good job this year in terms of adding depth and bringing in guys that have done some things. So for year one, we can kind of go, okay, understood. But if this collapses, we got a lot of question marks that need to be answered. And we'll see what happens. We'll be here next Thursday to break it all down. And if it is, a one-game situation, we'll try our best to rally and figure out how the Lions are going to get themselves into the postseason. But there will be a fresh Doc and Jock next week. We will figure out how the Detroit Lions team is going to find their way into the postseason and defeat Green Bay at home, which they may have to come down to it. And hey, maybe that is apropos for this season, is to have everybody doubt you at home versus Green Bay, and you go out and you handle your business.
Dude, next Thursday setting up to be a huge, huge podcast.
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll have the Lions Green Bay, because the way we both see it, it's going to come down to that final game. We're going to have Michigan versus Florida State, that epic bowl game. So we're going to have that to cover. Possibility, we've got Vito in studio. Just a whole bunch to talk about. And when Vito comes in, it's a party.
Yeah, we'll have a good time with it. All right. Maybe some cocktails. Why not? Maybe some eggnog spiced up and not too much, not too excess, but maybe we'll have some spiced rum and some eggnog. We'll see what happens.
It's our New Year's Eve edition. So yeah, why not?
No, why not? All right, let's take a quick break, come back, talk a little bit about Christmas in a festive Docs in session. Stay with us on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Team Top Cat Sales. Are you looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or corporation? Look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan QB John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the highest quality and best service. Get your organization, school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going to TopCatTeamSales.com. That's TopCatTeamSales.com. Also, follow Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
And an exciting WWE news. SmackDown was at the Joe on Tuesday night. And out of all of that mess, we had James Ellsworth basically get crushed. Sets up AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Nobody knows why Baron Corbin gets a push. He's got a horrible receding hairline that makes mine look fantastic and yours outstanding. And Dolph Ziggler will probably lose again because that guy can't seem to find a W in a whole stack of www.www. You can find a W here.com.
Yes, sir. It was a good event, too. Anytime you open an event with AJ Styles and the crowd is rowdy, I felt like they didn't take full advantage of the crowd. I felt like it was a decent show, maybe a B-plus kind of show. But in the end, whenever, what SmackDown's doing a really good job of is really pushing the blurred line between reality and the storylines. When you have Renee Young slapping The Miz for calling out.
That was so great.
That was awesome. He's like, The Miz is playing a great heel. And then you had the whole Carmella, Nikki Bella, Natalya drama. So it was a good show overall, but in the end, you just kind of go, man, if that was a full stacked card, if everybody was there from Raw and SmackDown, Detroit brings it night in, night out. I felt like they deserved a little bit more.
Some of the greatest wrestling fans in all of the world are right here in Detroit.
It was good stuff. Didn't go, but got a chance to DVR it and enjoyed it thoroughly after going to the Oakland game. Tough loss versus Northeastern, but I can't wait to see it. When this airs, I wonder, and I'm curious, if Oakland 0-14 versus Michigan State since their rivalry kicked off, I want to know, do they
Always
finally...
a close game, though. Always a close game. Nail biter if you're a Michigan State fan.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to play a festive round of the Docs in Session. You got some Christmas-themed questions for me, and I'm ready to deliver. And what we call the Doctor is in Session.
But to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here. I'm the man. Woo!
All right, so for this Docs in Session, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I mean, honestly, right now there's not a whole bunch going on in sports. You've got the drama with the Pistons. We're going to touch on that in a minute. Lions, like I said, when we're doing some pre-show, always interesting. We can talk about that all day long, but do you really want to talk about the Red Wings and how you're going to get the Jared Careau effect again because Jimmy Howard's on the DL? No. And there's really nothing else going on because none of the bowl games are of any interest at this time, at least not to either one of us. So I wanted to do something special, something for the Christmas holiday. I seen the other day you were with the wife and you guys were walking around. I think it was either Meijer or Target. I'm not 100% sure.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us, where a kid can always be a kid. I love Toys R Us, by the way. And I seen that you were asking her for a PS4. So I was like, you know what? This got me thinking. I was like, let's do a Christmas edition of Docs in Session. I want to pick your brain. I want to see what you enjoy about the holiday. I want to see what you want for Christmas. And I want to see if there's anything exciting going on in your life. So we're going to open this up with what are your plans for the Christmas holiday? I kind of know what you do on Christmas Eve because me and you are together for most of that. But why don't you fill everybody else in?
Yes, sir. Christmas Eve, that's Saturday. I am working in the morning, couple visits to round out the year, my last 2 or 3 visits. I'll be in the office like from 9 to 11. Then I'll get home, and I have to admit it, potentially I might have to stop at a couple stores because I have done...
You are the worst last-minute shopper always. Every year I feel like we do this.
Yep, I've done, at this point in time of this recording, I finally bought my wife the first thing that she asked for today on Amazon. So I started, and I got some text.
Good thing you got Prime.
Yeah, I got text as reminders as to who would get what and stuff like that. So that's what I usually do is scramble to go, oh, shoot, I put this off to the last possible minute. Now I got to take care of that. Yes, Christmas Eve is spent with the wife's side of the family. It's a great time. Get to kick it with you, your family, my family, have a good old time. The kids are getting older, so it makes it more fun to, kind of wrap sports a little bit, catch up with the family, and have some good old food and shared with the missus side of the family. It's really fun. I look forward to it each and every year, and then, get stuffed a little bit. But this year, going to take it easy, try to watch what we eat a little bit, and then Christmas Day, I believe then we're going to go to my mother-in-law's house again in the morning, open presents, and then I think my sister and her husband were going to their side of the family for the evening activities and just hang out, have some food, laugh, gossip a little bit, talk politics, figure out what the hell's going on in this world. We just shoot the breeze a little bit, maybe some card games. But mostly what I'm looking forward to is, when you have 2 young ones, their excitement for Christmas takes on an interesting state of mind. And so I want to see their excitement when we get them what they wanted. The kids are sweet. I got 2 young daughters. They're excited for, the little stuff that they ask for. Luckily, they're in their range of what they're asking for. It's not electronic vehicles. It's just dolls and stuff like that. So to see them open their presents was exciting last year. And then 1 year later, I'm excited to see the kids open their presents and play around and to spend some time with them, because when you work so much, you really realize how much time you spend away from the office. But, when you try to provide, you also got to put in the time for the family. So I want to just play with the girls, have a good old time over the course of the weekend.
Either one of the girls ask for hijab Barbie.
I don't even know where I would get that. That would be hilarious.
I think they got that at Toys R Us. They do have one.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I never see. I know.
I'm being serious now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
No,
I'll have to find it. I'll find the picture for you.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So generally when we have Christmas Eve dinner, it's a traditional Polish dinner. What's your favorite part about that? I mean, you being Middle Eastern, and I've dined with you many of times, and it's always great. The food is always excellent at your house, and the spread is always delectable. What's your favorite part about the Polish cuisine that you get to eat on Christmas Eve?
Oh man, your dad's kraut is amazing. Extra vinegary, and it's really good. So I always look forward to the kraut. I like the opłatek. I like the fact that there's a traditional.
You like the flavorless wafer?
Yeah, no, the fact that you line
the
up
one
people,
that I lose my mind on if we can't find it and nobody can do it right.
Exactly, we get a chance to kind of honor the tradition of the oldest first.
I'm the Christmas Nazi, by the way.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. It's fun, and just honoring traditions, having a good meal. Just watching you, because I know with your health status, I'm like, damn, that bro kicks up some food. I'm like, damn.
I eat like a straight savage.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, what do? You say something like, oh, dude, just, dude eats a lot. But, I know you're in the gym, so you deserve a couple days like that. But then you just to catch up with people, get their stories. And then from time to time, we'll do the elephant game. That's always fun with the gift card exchange and stuff like that. And then potentially if there's any sports on, I know me, you, your dad, my father-in-law will kick it. Try to sneak on a bowl game here and there and see if we can just banter back and forth a little bit. And
yeah, we'll have football that day. All right. What's your favorite part of the holiday overall?
You know what it is? I kind of do like the fact of the festivities. People kind of now draw towards their family a little bit more. I do like the fact that for me, I don't know, people take vacations? The traffic is a little bit lighter on the roads. I do like the fact they get it to the office a little bit faster. I like the fact of, kind of getting people, presents. And I like, actually kind of like watching sports over the holiday, because when you're working so much, you don't really get a chance just to sit and have a couple hours free to yourself to just enjoy movies, enjoy watching sports, and doing other type things. So I like the kind of attitude of winding down a little bit and not working as hard. You still work hard, but at the same time, you don't work as many hours, and you have situations where you have more time to spend with the family. So my favorite part of the time, and actually, I know that people are freaking out about the cold. I've kind of liked it. It's bitterly cold. I kind of like wearing gloves, hats. I like the cold, and it's kind of like, hey, it's now winter, and I enjoy it thoroughly. I enjoy every aspect of it. I actually enjoyed when we got the 10 inches of snow. I didn't really particularly like the 3 hours of shoveling, but I got out there. It's exercise, and the kids built a snowman. They got out there and did snow angels. They love the snow, so I started to put that in their mind, like, hey, you girls love the snow in winter? Yeah, we love to get out there and play, because I don't want them to be, because I got a fear that they're going to be like, we're moving to California when they're like 18 years old. And I'm like, no, that cannot happen. So I'm trying to get them to love winter as much as I do.
I want to see you all bundled up with mittens and a hat on, looking like Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
So do you think the wife, just, what do you say, like just pacified me and was like, sure, get a PS4? She was like, no.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because that sets up for this next question that I have for you. What's the one thing that you want most from Santa this year? Is it the PS4?
No. The reason behind that was, and listen.
You're just trying to bother her? Because I think you have a PS4 coming on Christmas. I was looking at her face when you were sitting there videotaping her. I think you got a PS4 coming for Christmas.
No. Here's the reason behind it.
If you get a PS4, you need to tweet that out and tag me in it.
I will. No, here's the thing. So I make purchases sometimes without the permission of the missus, and then I ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So what I wanted to do was
credit card bill comes in, it's hell to pay.
Yeah, exactly. You got to try to get in the mailbox before. But what I tried to do is I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to, and I'm not a big video game guy. I'm happy with the PS3, but I just wanted to see what she would say with me annoying her at the toy store. So, and I really love Facebook Live. So I was like, I'm just going to go up there and start asking her. And I'm like, can I get a PS4? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, come on. I really want one. But in the end, that's a great question. What do I want? Because I did kind of needle her a little bit and go, how come nobody got me SmackDown tickets? Like, how much, like, for me, I'm the kind of guy that rolls with the tide. I don't really care a whole heck of a lot about a lot of things, like too much of an investment. I spread my investment over a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Where I don't care heavily about a lot of things. So I was just like needling her going, how come nobody just thought on their own just to get me wrestling tickets, knowing that I watch every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, how much I talk about wrestling. Nobody thought to get me SmackDown tickets in Detroit, how much I was talking about AJ Styles and how much I wanted to see him live and how much I replay his entrance. Nobody got that. So she left. She goes, oh, I could have got it for you. I'm like, that's not the point. I just wanted you to see if you took some initiative. What I want someone to take initiative and just get me something that they know I would really like. Either way, that's all I care about. Someone take initiative. But for me, I'm blessed, and I'm a guy that just looks at it and goes, you know what? I'm blessed. I got a great family, great podcast, talk about sports with people that I care about. I got a practice that's thriving now, and I look at it and I just go, I just want to know that someone's thinking about me. In any case, I know that someone's giving me a present, and I know that people are doing that and stuff like that. But for me, whatever it is, take initiative, do something that I like, and I would greatly appreciate it. So that's for me. That's what I say. I don't really know what I want. I don't really know.
It's weird when you start to get this old where it's like, if you want something, you just go buy it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So when Christmas rolls around, you're like, I don't know what to ask for because I don't need anything. So yeah.
You said it.
It gets a little bit weird. All right, well, with this last one, is there a gift or something or someone that you're super excited about giving something to?
When I saw that I have this Christmas list, I really get excited to get the wife something because she does so much. I mean, really, when I look at it and I go, people told me in high school that there was probably 80% chance I'd never get married because because listening is an issue sometimes, very selfish, sometimes, and things like that. And I found someone that's a perfect match for me. And we've been going strong now for 6 years, going on 7. So to make her happy and to spend the time with her, especially if I take the next week off, it'll be very awesome to get her something and show appreciation for not only raising the kids, taking care of the household, taking care of me and all my weird demands and stuff like that. And I'm talking about, I could be kind of difficult to deal with. So I want to show appreciation for someone that has put all that aside, cares about me, cares about the family, and is supportive in all the crazy ideas that I throw out there. So anything that I can get the missus and try to spoil her, because I'm like you, making big purchases, I just don't want to do it. I have the funds to do it if I wanted to. I just can't do it. Like, I see the ticket prices, And when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, $200 for Lions tickets is not all that much, but I can't physically pay it because I don't feel like, for me, it's worth it. So for me, if I felt like this computer was $1,000 and it was worth it, I'd buy it in a second. But if the price was $80 and I had it and I don't feel like it's worth it, I can't do it. I can't buy something that I don't feel is worth it. So that's how kind of I roll. So I just want to get something that she's going to like and to show her appreciation, to stick with me and my crazy ways.
All right, sir. Well, hey, excellent Docs in session.
Yes, sir. Ho, 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 everybody. And everybody out there.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Tell everybody and spend it with the people that you love. And you know what I also like? I do like the fact that, at this office and with things like that, I work with a lot of kids, and the opportunity that I have, because a lot of people that come here pay a little bit of a copay. So usually the next couple of weeks, I just don't take it. And so I tell the parents, like, hey, take this $10, $20 that you're going to pay me and just buy something for your kid. So I know that the office takes care of a lot of the kids here. So do something nice for somebody else is really what I enjoy. And I love hearing the stories of people dropping gold coins at Salvation Army. I love the fact that the Lions and the other teams will go and work with Habitat for Homes and provide people who don't have as much with homes and opportunities. So that's what it's about, is to show the people that you love that you care, and to also give back in a way that you can. In any way, even if it's just you drop $5 in the red tin when someone's shaking the bell. Anything at all that you can do, it's greatly appreciated, and that's what everyone should try to do, because it's a good feeling when you give back in any way that you can. We will take our final timeout and get to talk about the disastrous week for the Detroit Pistons and what the hell's going on. We'll try to diagnose it, we'll try to solve it, and we'll figure out if it can be repaired next on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
DocNJock here for Fanatic U. If you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out fanaticu.com and get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wings shirt, rock your Lions shirt, rock your Piston apparel. Wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanatic U. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out, fanaticu.com.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah. That's right. We put it down. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Yeah. Who's in the house? The brothers in the house. Gotta turn it on out, let you know what we about. Kinda like Cain and Abel. A bit unstable, don't be breaking the brain. Break the whole damn table.
All right, everyone. Last segment of the podcast, episode 176. Just want to say thank you for everybody that's been downloading. Definitely, we appreciate all the support that we've gotten for this fine podcast network. Thank you for clicking through the banner links at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing across all the various platforms. All right, cuz, we got to figure out what's going on with the Detroit Pistons, because something's going on, and my psychological senses have been activated in that there's a situation going on.
Is that like Spidey sense?
Yes, exactly. Where if something's going on with a team and the chemistry's not right, or if there's an issue with a player and an issue with a head coach, my Spidey senses get tingled. And I think I'm starting to see something that is probably the root of the problem here with the Detroit Pistons. And a little bit of it was talked about in the article from Vince Ellis in the Free Press on Wednesday. So here's what's going on. Stan Van Gundy has a lot of power within the Detroit Pistons organization. So he's free, being that he's the president. He's the president and the head coach. I know he's got a GM, but he doesn't really. I know he consults with them and things like that. But in the end, we all know the power lies with SVG.
Stan Van Gundy makes the decisions.
Yes. So Stan Van Gundy's free to game in, game out. If there's a performance that we don't like, he's free to just blast away. And the performance versus the Bulls was absolutely terrible on Monday, and it was absolutely embarrassing on a lot of levels. And who does that fall back on? It falls back on SVG. What does he do? He comes back and he puts it on the players. He comes out blasting, calling it embarrassing, lack of professionalism. Yes, there is culpability from the players for that performance, but why is it that Reggie Jackson is playing this way? Why is it that the team lacks heart? Why is it that the starting 5 that you put out there is totally ineffective? I go, you know what? A lot of it has to be pointed back at Stan Van Gundy. This is the roster you put. This is the group of guys that you're coaching up. Why are they not prepared? You have the right now to go to the media and just start blasting them. So my opinion would be, yes, they deserved it, but probably not publicly. In the past, if this was 1984, Great. Come out there, rip them to the high heavens. This is 2016. These guys are making boatloads of money, and it doesn't have that much of an impact, in my opinion. So for me, I go, is Stan Van Gundy really the right guy for the job? And is he, because of the fact that he's the president and the head coach, taking liberties at taking shots at his players? Then he goes out, and he's been talking lately in the last couple of days since, and he says, like, people are asking him, well, the players may not be happy with the offense, or Reggie Jackson may not be happy with ball touches or playing time. And he looks at it and he goes, in quote from the article, he goes, I said this today. How many jobs does your employer pay you and then also take responsibility for your happiness? Van Gundy said. That ain't the way it works. We don't live in the real world, but that's not the way it works. Most times, right? Employees are supposed to get paid and make their employer happy, not the other way around. So now I'm getting a sense of where he stands. Because he's the big boss, he's like, listen, it's on you. Do your job, handle your business. And I say, listen, when you poke and prod an athlete in 2016 in that way, and you're Stan Van Gundy, yes, you're respected. Yes, you've done things. You're not a total bum, but you're not Greg Popovich. You're not Larry Brown. You're Stan Van Gundy. And so I think at this point in time, problem 1, Stan Van Gundy. Problem 2, he's lost Reggie Jackson. Problem 3, I think there is some doubt creeping in, and maybe not there fully, but I do believe there's a fractured relationship as we speak between the players and the head coach. And he's not coming out with, hey, I'm going to coddle you and I'm going to do things to make you happy. Do your job. I'm cutting you the check. And if you don't like it, tough. You don't say that if you're not the president and head coach. So I think potentially if he looks back at it, if he were to be relieved of his job, he probably would say, you know what, it happened again. He said, I had this problem before in the past with the Orlando Magic. I lost my star player, and I had issues keeping the ship afloat. So I'm starting to see a little bit of waves here, and I think it has to do with the fact that Stan Van Gundy's attitude and the way he handles adversity is not appealing to the modern athlete. And as a result of that, you're seeing this team is not a team that deserves to get blown out by 20, 25 points in any game with the talent that they have. Are they around a under 500 team? No, but are they a team that performs like they did on Monday versus the Bulls? Absolutely not. And Stan Van Gundy's got to take more responsibility. Big problem.
What I'll agree with you on is that there is a disconnect between the head coach and the players. That's obvious. There's something there, whether it be a fractured relationship, whether Stan Van Gundy's not motivating the guys the proper way or a way that they feel they need to be motivated. But I think this is a bigger issue. Look, there was a team meeting the other day, and during that team meeting, Reggie Jackson came out and basically told you what they talked about. And what it sounded like was Reggie Jackson felt Reggie Jackson felt like he was attacked. So what does Reggie Jackson then do?
He stops shooting.
Yeah. He goes out on the floor and all he does is pass the ball. He's got open looks and he's like, no, I'll just pass it. I'll pass it. So now you have your leader, your point guard, the guy who Stan Van Gundy went out and gave a ton of money to. That was Stan Van Gundy. Stan Van Gundy wanted Reggie Jackson. We talked about it like, is he worth $80 million? Right. So if Reggie Jackson has a problem with Stan Van Gundy, look who brought you here. Look who gave you the team. Look who gave you your shot, your opportunity. All of a sudden, you're feeling yourself just a little bit too much. You might need to take a seat. I think that's what Stan Van Gundy's doing. He's trying to put him back in his place. Because now Reggie Jackson's out there on the court sulking, acting like a baby, and basically self-destructing and sabotaging this team. If the play calls for you to pass it 3 times, get the open look and shoot, and you know what? I'm going to pass it the 4th time. I'm not going to shoot. That's on you. That's you hurting your team. You need to be accountable for that. You need to take some accountability for your actions, and you need to sit there and you need to help out your squad. Don't be a baby. Don't point the finger. Don't pass the buck. Best part is, I was watching the post-game presser, and you've got beat reporters asking the question like, do you feel like you're the problem? And you could just see Reggie just look so
you saw that too?
Yeah.
I pointed to the wife. You see that look? I paused it.
So dejected. So man. Dejected. Like what's playing on his mind. He's already defeated. What has to happen is Stan Van Gundy and Reggie Jackson have to have a come to Jesus meeting and be like, look, Stan's got to be like, look, Reggie, what you're doing and the way you're playing and your actions of late are hurting this team. You're not the problem. You're part of the solution, but you got to get on the same game plan. And Stan's right. You yourself have your own job. You have your own company. You're your own boss. There are some times where you don't want to do whatever it is that you have to do, but you know what? You got to do what's best for your company, right? Look, I can't stand my boss most of the time. I'm going to tell you right now, I can't. Honestly, a lot of the things that go on and the things that he does, Drive me absolutely insane. But you know what? That's not my place to tell him that. He's the boss. I got to suck it up and I got to go do my job. That's all there is to it. Go do your job. Go do your job. And on top of it, this is a team sport. It's a team game. Man up. Help out your boys. Do your job. It's not just you. It's them too.
Understood. But at the same time,
look,
don't you think Stan Van should massage Reggie Jackson a little bit more and really work on that relationship?
That's not how Stan does it, though. And look, I love Stan for the way he coaches, the way he acts. I think it's great. If you were in the media and you were there every single day, you would love it too, because he comes out and he gives zero. How many Fs does he give? None. And it's been none since day one. That's how Stan rolls. And look, if Reggie's got a problem with it and Reggie's sensitive to it and Reggie's, a little bit sour about it and things are hurting, you know what? Then make a man pond for it. Go get one, put it in, and take care of it, bro, because you need to man up. Look, you are hurting your squad right now. There is no reason this team should be where they're at right now in this season. Stan Van Gundy did an exceptional job getting this team to the point that they were at, where they were a 500 team without their starting point guard, without their number one guy. Their number one guy comes back in. He should be on fire. He should be ready to prove himself. Instead, what you get is you get a crybaby mentality where he's like, they don't want me to shoot, so I'm just going to pass the ball all the time. No, that's not what was said, bro. That's not how it works. On top of it, you're real rested. You should be out there sitting there cutting stuff up, playing like you were playing. Instead, you get Reggie Jackson with a diaper on and a pacifier in his mouth because he's acting like a child.
See, I believe that part of the reason why Reggie Jackson's not happy is because of the philosophy, because of the fact that he feels like he's getting blamed. That starts with the head coach. That's all. This is what the coach cannot just stand back and go, these guys need to do X, and then blast them in a way where they don't, feel like they want to play for you.
Do you feel like Reggie Jackson should be absolved of all of this, though? Do you not feel like he's part of the problem and he's his own worst enemy at this point?
Yeah, see, the way we look at it is like this, is that a head coach's job is to get the most, and a boss's job, and that's why I want to talk about it.
But I want to know, how do you feel about Reggie Jackson? Forget Stan Van Gundy for a minute. Forget him, all right? We'll get back to that. How do you feel about Reggie Jackson and what he's doing? Because I feel like he's part of the problem at this point. There was a reason that they wanted him out of OKC.
Yes.
There was a reason that there were issues there, all right? And sometimes it just seems like he can't get out of his own way, and this isn't one of those times. He's out there pouting and acting like a baby, and now you're pissing off your head coach and the president.
Yeah, here's the issue. I don't think Reggie Jackson's the guy for the job, and he might be using the wrong role. Ish Smith at the start of the year was leading the offense when Reggie Jackson was out. Reggie comes back. Why is he thrust into the starting position right away? Maybe he's not a true point guard. Maybe you need to have a combination of Ish and Reggie Jackson for a while and see how they fit. So I think the situation is that Reggie Jackson is in an offense right now that's not suited to his skills. That right now he's got to find the right blend of taking the shots that he needs to get his numbers and running the offense. And right now he takes so many shots, and when they're not falling, it messes up the offense. And he's being told to make sure that as a point guard in your evolution, and Chauncey Billups had the same problem, you got to find the open man, even if it means not shooting. Find the open man. And he's got to find that balance of shooting the shot at the right time. And that's where Reggie's problem is that he's a shooter. His thought process is not to facilitate as much. His thought process is shoot. And so that's why I didn't want him here in the first place. I didn't want to sign him for that money. And we talked about it, that I don't think that this is the right fit for what we need. Ish Smith did a good job, but he's a backup. And I don't know, over the course of a season, can he raise his level to a championship level? But these decisions are made at the top. And that's what I want to talk about at the beginning is a boss's job is to utilize the talent that you have and figure out what do you have and utilize each person in their role properly. And if Reggie Jackson wants to shoot, then it's your job to say, okay, knowing that you want to shoot, how can we get you the ball in the right spot? How can we set up plays that are effective for you? How can we make you succeed? Having a team meeting and blasting Reggie Jackson should never be allowed.
He wasn't part of the team meeting. It was a players only meeting. So it was the players. It was the other guys. It was his squad basically saying, hey, look, the way this offense kind of works is you need to be a passer first and then a shooter. And if that's the case, right? If that's the case, you're going to tailor your entire offense, which consists of 4 other guys around one guy. And when
3 guys. I would say that you're paying Reggie Jackson a lot of money to shoot the ball, and you're paying Andre Drummond a lot of money to shoot the ball, and you're paying KCP in the future probably a lot of money to get the ball in the basket.
You have one ball.
3 guys.
You have one ball. How do you sit there and you're just like, here, Reggie, go out there and shoot whenever you want. Andre, you know what? When that ball clanks off the rim because he's going to be horrible at it, just go ahead and get those rebounds, put it back. And KCP, just play some good defense. Maybe we'll get you the ball. Is that what you're telling him? That's what it sounds like you're saying.
No, I'm saying that Reggie Jackson, towards the tail end of last year, was getting a little bit better in terms of understanding the offense. And sometimes he's going to fall back into his old tendencies. That's where Stan Van's got to come in and go, listen, we got to do this way. And right now, I think the method in which he's trying to change things isn't exactly right. Reggie is accountable for his game, and he's got to step it up. But remember, he's coming back from an injury. He's, only played 10 games. He's got to work his way back. And so there should be a level of patience with the guys, too. And whose job is it to kind of tell everybody, listen, it's not going right exactly as I like it right now. Let's just ride it out 2-3 more games. This is my plan. I want to see how we're going to progress in the next week, the next homestand that we got. I want to see how we're going to perform. If in the next week the offense still looks like this, don't revolt. Don't have a stupid team meeting when you come out and say that I don't care about team meetings. I care about what you do on the floor. His job is to facilitate that and make sure, okay, this is what it's going to go. It's going to be bumpy, but I'm going to keep these guys together. Now what you've done is, if you've let the guys have a players-only meeting, they have it, and they alienate Reggie Jackson, that's a big problem. You got to get that fixed because Reggie Jackson's a highly paid guy. You're not going to move him. So Stan Van's responsible for all of it. It's on him. Over
the course of what would equate to about a season and a half, Reggie's turnover to his turnover percentage has basically gradually gone down. When he first came to Detroit, it was somewhere around 3.5. Last season, it was 2.8. This season's 2.0. In the same time, his field goal percentage has basically bottomed out this season. If Reggie Jackson was shooting and scoring, I don't think we'd be having this issue. There's a problem, whether it's him not feeling comfortable with his knee, whether it's him just not being in the mode with the offense, but he's shooting roughly 38% from the floor when he's a career 43% shooter. That's a little bit of an issue. So if you're not in a flow with the offense, we're going to need you to pass the ball a little bit. I think Reggie needs to sit back and address what his issues are and really look at what's going on here. Yeah, his turnover ratio is down a lot, and I think that's great, and that's going to help the team in the long run. At the same time, you're not shooting the ball well. You need to pass a little bit more until you start to get comfortable. And maybe this goes back to Stan Van Gundy. Maybe Stan did insert him a little bit too soon into the lineup. Maybe he should have sat there, worked him in off the bench for a couple games, and then just went ahead and reinserted him slowly into the starting lineup. But I think this falls more on the player and less on the coach. Stan Van Gundy is going to try to motivate his guys the only way Stan knows how. And is it blasting him in the media? Yeah, maybe. Do I think it's always the right way to do it? Probably not. I think it's really interesting, though, because what Stan Van Gundy has done has created a lot of conversation nationally. There are people who are on one side of it and people who are on the opposite side of it. I happen to love it. I think it's great. I think sometimes you need to talk to a player, and the only way you can do it is through the media, because sometimes I think in this case with Reggie Jackson, he's feeling himself just a little bit too much. I think his head is a little bit too big. I think he had a really nice season last season. The season before that, you could kind of see him developing into this leader. And once they shipped Brandon Jennings out of here, he realized, okay, it's my team. I can do this. And he's kind of now at the point where I think he feels like he's a superstar. Reggie, you're not a superstar. You're just not. Like you're not going to be mentioned with the likes of a guy like a Chris Paul, a Lowry. You're not those guys. You're not. You know what you are? You're Detroit superstar. And what that says is you're a middle-class guy who goes to work every day, works hard, keeps his mouth shut, and does what's best for the team. And that's why Detroit loves you. So do it.
Okay, go to our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Just threw up a poll question. Who is more to blame for the offensive struggles of the Pistons? Early voting in, 62%. Blame Reggie Jackson. So they want him to step it up. Okay, we'll see how the poll shakes out. And I just say that I think that you might have maybe not a Chris Paul, but you might have an above-average point guard that is not playing as well because he doesn't feel like he belongs. In this day and age, like I said, I agree with Stan Van Gundy if this was 20 years ago. The new wave athlete needs a little bit more coddling, needs a little bit more sensitivity, needs a little bit more praise in the media.
I call BS. I do.
Okay.
Like I think, you know what? I think what it comes down to is either you're a man or you're not a man. And you know what? At this point, you're getting paid all this money. You got to man up. Figure it out. Don't sit there. Don't cry like a little girl. Don't get upset. Don't be a baby about it. Man up. Figure it out. Look, things aren't right for you right now. Figure out how to make them right. It's on you. It's on you, the player. Look, I know it sounds cold and it sounds tough, but hey, the real world's cold and it's tough. Figure it out. Man up. You're supposed to be the leader of this team. There's no leader right now. It's like a rudderless ship. You're hurting your squad. On top of it, I'm not sure if they get it figured out this season, which then points to a bigger issue. Because if they don't, and I don't believe that they necessarily will, because it all hinges on what Reggie Jackson does, the longer this goes on, the worse the season becomes. And then Stan Van Gundy loses this team. So now what do you have? You've got a head coach, you've got a president who has no control over his team. And we've seen this once or twice or maybe 7 times before with the Detroit Pistons. Once the coach loses control, it's like a mutiny. And then if this continues to go on, you're going to find yourself in a hole and you're not going to be able to get yourself out of it. So then what happens? It's all over. And I don't know if Stan Van Gundy is going to necessarily fire himself because, again, we've talked about it. He has all the power, all the control. Be careful who you piss off. Be careful.
And I would say the other way around. I would say for Stan Van Gundy, I do believe that each and every night your job is to get this team prepared. It's going to be an interesting week ahead. I want to see how they respond. There's a big game Friday versus Golden State. I don't want to see a wave of yellow at the Palace. I don't want to see them jacking up threes, and I don't want to see a performance that could get ugly fast because people, when Golden State comes to town, people are going to be paying attention. So it's a big game Friday. I told one of our longtime supporters, I said, give away your tickets Friday. He's like, no way, it's the biggest game of the year. I'm like, okay, I see 2 scenarios. Golden State comes in and it's a Golden State love fest at the Palace, or I see Stan Van getting pissed off and getting ejected from this one because it could get ugly real quick, but I'm interested to see. What do you think? Good game for the Pistons, or do they give it their best effort and put on a performance that's worthy of having the Western Conference champs in your house?
I think what ends up happening is you've got basically a wounded animal right now, a team that's kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what their role is per individual, per team, and you've got a head coach that's trying to figure out how to sit there and motivate these guys. I think you get probably one of their best games of the season because they know who's coming in. I think on defense, what you're going to see, you got to realize too, going into that game against the Bulls, they were still one of the best-ranked defenses in all of the league. I mean, they're third right now, but that was a defense that was basically controlling games and manhandling opponents, keeping them below 100 points in just about every single game this season. And then all of a sudden, you can't stop nobody. The floodgates open up. So I think you're going to get a little bit more back to basics. I think what it'll be is it'll be a close game going into the fourth quarter. You got to realize Golden State's got a ton of talent. And then you add Kevin Durant to it. So now you've got talent times infinity. I think Golden State will end up pulling away in the end. And I think I don't think it's going to be, hey, let's just throw it up from 3 all day long and they get outscored like 127-70. But I think it'll be a little bit closer, but Golden State wins and they'll probably give up over 100 points because that's just what Golden State does.
Come on, Pistons, you step it up, man. Don't and I'll leave it at this. When your rallying cry is to change the starting 5 and insert John Lure into your lineup,
He's been one of their best players.
It's exactly, and so
that's an issue that falls on the guys.
We'll leave it at that. John Lure is one of your best guys.
Look, I'm gonna. Can I make a bold ass prediction right now?
Sure.
Let me make a bold prediction. All right, and maybe it's not so bold. I don't know. I think after the Golden State game, you're gonna get a head coach in Stan Van Gundy who comes out and seems much softer than the guy who just sat there and roasted his entire starting 5 and roasted his entire team. He's gonna come out. They're gonna lose, but he's gonna come out and he's gonna be like, look, these guys showed some heart today. They came out, they played well. This is a good team. This is a team that's gonna go places, and we're getting things corrected. And they look good. They played hard. This loss, he's gonna take the loss on. This loss is on me. You know what? I needed to do a better job getting these guys ready, coaching these guys up, and getting them prepared. I should have done a better job doing X, Y, and Z. These guys, it's not their fault. This is on me. This loss is me. And I bet you that's how it goes.
Okay, so right now it sounds like Cousin Adam is in the mix for the players to step it up. I'm in the mode of, hey, Stan Van's got to do a better job of being a manager, and we'll see what happens.
And that's how he flips it all around. And basically, he roasted you, and now he's bringing you back in, and he's coddling you, and he's loving you, and he's telling you, hey, You're a great player. I love you. It's going to be okay.
Okay, a couple more votes coming in. Now it's 42% blaming Stan Van Gundy. Okay, I think it's a really good poll question. I think it's going to be in that maybe 60-40 range toward the players. But like I said, I'm viewing it a little bit more that Stan Van could get a little bit more by doing a better job being the head guy. We shall see. It's going to be a good week ahead. We'll revisit it later on. Good debate, good podcast, sir. Episode 176 coming to a close. Thank you to all the fine sponsors and everybody that's been listening. Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. Going strong since September of 2013. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa.
This was locker room talk.
Second dick.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.